Welcome to the channel. Many of us would like to have a kind, magical guide to show us the right path and actions. Listen to the story of a teenager who accidentally found a magical wishing tree. The summer was hot, buzzing, filled with the scents of pine resin and sun-baked earth. In a small town, tucked away among rolling hills and evergreen forests, it was teenagers' favorite time of year. They rode bikes, swam in the lake, and played soccer until evening. But not everyone felt carefree and joyful in their company. 14-year-old Mike walked along the dry path, trying not to look at his friends who were laughing at him again. Not maliciously, more out of habit. And no one really meant to hurt his feelings. But the words still stung. "What's slowing you down again?" yelled Ernie, the loudest one in their group. The ball rolled into the bushes. "Go get it, you're closer." Mike hesitated, unsure. The bushes were thick and dark. He hated going into thickets like that. There could be snakes or wasps or who knows what else. It was scary. But admitting that? No way. "You go get it," he mumbled. "Fine, forget it then. It's obvious he's scared." The words echoed among the boys. Someone snorted, someone else chuckled, no one defended Mike. He felt his face flush hot. "Go to hell," he snapped, spun around, and quickly walked away. "Hey, Mike, where are you going?" came the shouts from behind him. He didn't answer. And just kept walking. With each step, his anger faded into hurt, hurt into weariness, and weariness into a strange beckoning. It felt as if the forest was inviting him deeper, to a place he'd never been before. The path wound between pine trees, the air grew cooler, and the trees became taller and denser. Time stretched slowly. The birdsong quieted, as if someone had turned down an invisible volume knob. Then suddenly, something flashed ahead, a soft, silvery golden light, like the glow of fireflies, only much brighter. Mike stopped, squinting. "What is that?" he whispered to himself. The light shimmered between the trunks, shifting colors, as if inviting him closer. Cautiously, the boy pushed aside the branches and froze. Before him stood an enormous tree, far taller than all the surrounding pines. Its thick trunk was covered in coral veins of light that seemed to flow down the bark, alive. Its leaves rustled and chimed with a delicate, crystalline sound that sent shivers down his spine. It was an extraordinary tree, impossible to forget. And impossible to explain. Mike took a step back, but the ground beneath his feet softly glowed, as if the tree was communicating, "I won't harm you." The boy swallowed hard and stepped closer. His hand instinctively reached out to the bark, warm as a sun-warmed stone. And then, the tree spoke to him. But the tree's voice resonated inside his head, soft, deep, like the wind whispering through the canopy of an ancient forest. Mike recoiled, unsure whose voice it was. "It is I. The wishing tree. I hear your steps, sense your doubts, know your fears." The boy swallowed, amazed. "You're a wishing tree?" he asked. "A real one?" "Yes, a real one, but not entirely simple. And not visible to everyone." The tree's leaves chimed softly, like tiny bells. "If your heart seeks change, speak your wish. I can help," the tree offered. Mike glanced around, bewildered, as if hoping to spot a hidden camera. But all around him was just the forest and the soft glow. What wish? He wanted to be a brave kid. He had that wish, but saying it aloud felt shameful. I want to be brave, he finally whispered. So I don't get scared so easily, so I can be normal. The tree seemed to ponder. Silence stretched. The wish is accepted, but it won't be granted immediately. The voice finally said. You will gain courage, but only when you take a step yourself, an important step for others. Only by overcoming fear will you unlock your strength. What step? Mike wondered. The one you will see. Soon. The words dissolved into the air, and the tree dimmed its glow, becoming almost ordinary. But only almost. What does soon mean? Mike called out. Only a soft rustle answered him. And at that moment, deep within the forest, a terrifying, piercing scream echoed. Help me! Mike flinched. His heart sank to his heels, and his legs turned to lead. Fear gripped him. That voice, he knew it. Katia, he whispered. It's Katia. And fear hit his chest like a cold wave. But along with it, something else. A sharp feeling, as if a tiny spark had ignited inside him. He turned and ran. As he ran, the path beneath his feet seemed to vanish. Branches lashed at his face, roots snagged his sneakers. But Mike tore forward, the screams growing louder. Mike! Help me, he heard again. He burst into a small clearing, and his heart stopped. Katia, his 10-year-old sister, stood pressed against an old aspen tree. Before her, a large black snake coiled and hissed. Its body was thick as a man's arm, its eyes narrow, cold, and gleaming. Mike froze in his tracks when he saw the snake, trying to figure out what to do. Usually, he was afraid of even small grass snakes. But this snake. His mind screamed, run. Get the grown-ups. Hide. But his feet were glued to the ground. Katia was crying, trembling all over. He wanted to help his sister. And at that moment, something clicked inside Mike. Suddenly, he didn't see the snake. Or the forest. He only saw her, his little sister, whom he had to protect because there was no one else. Don't be scared, he breathed out, almost choking on his own fear. He looked around. At his feet lay a thick, long branch, almost like a staff. Mike grabbed it, his hands shaking so violently the branch vibrated in his palms. The snake turned towards him. It raised its head, its forked tongue flicking like a tiny dagger. He took a step forward. His knees knocked, his breath hitched, but he raised the branch. He willed himself to do it. Mike struck sharply with the stick. Not hard, not precisely, but enough to make the snake recoil and hiss its way off. It disappeared into the bushes, and the forest seemed to exhale with Mike. Katia cried out in relief and rushed to her brother. He hugged her tight, as if afraid to let her go. You saved me, she whispered through her tears. Mike felt the fear receding, dissolving like melting ice. He did it. He didn't run. He could. When they returned to the strange spot where the tree stood, Mike froze. The tree glowed, brightly, powerfully, as if golden energy seethed within it. Its leaves rustled joyfully and loudly. You took your step, the tree's voice rang out. You conquered fear for another. And now courage is rightfully yours. Mike felt a warmth, pleasant, steady, as if someone had switched on a light inside him. "But I was still scared," he said softly. "Courage isn't about not being afraid. Courage is moving forward, despite fear." "So, my wish came true?" "Yes. But remember, wishes are powerless without action. True magic lies within you." And the light from the tree faded, but something remained within Mike, strong and warm. An hour later, they were home. Mom was terrified, hugged Katya, scolded them both, and cried, but Mike remained calm. He told her everything honestly, without embellishment. Amazingly, for the first time in a long time, he spoke with confidence, without his usual lump in his throat. Later, his friends came over. Ernie looked sheepish. "Hey, we heard from the guys that you scared off a snake, seriously?" "Seriously." Mike nodded. Ernie even apologized, saying that sometimes guys don't really know their friends in different situations and say thoughtless things. Mike smiled. He felt a lightness in his soul. And when he went outside that evening and looked towards the forest, he felt a slight tingle, as if the wishing tree was watching him. And he understood, something truly had changed in him. Was he different? The next day, Mike went back to the forest, alone. What had happened couldn't get out of his head. Why had the tree appeared to him? Why did it grant wishes? And was there a limit to them? And most importantly, who else knew about it? When he reached the spot, the tree was still there, but it no longer glowed. It looked almost ordinary, except its leaves shimmered a little more brightly than those of other trees. "I wanted to come back to you," Mike said, approaching the tree. A faint light rippled across its bark. "I am here. And I will always be here, as long as there are those who need not a miracle, but a push," the tree replied kindly. Mike touched the bark. He wanted to talk to it, for it was extraordinary. "Could I have another wish?" Mike dared to ask. The tree laughed, a soft rustle. "You can wish for many things. But only that which leads to your growth will be granted. I am not for whims. I am for the path." Mike pondered. He understood. This tree didn't grant wishes instead of a person. It was like a teacher. Like a mirror. Like a first step. And suddenly, he felt he could go deeper into the forest, by himself, without fear. A week passed. Mike was different. He started taking more responsibility, at home, at school, in little things. He didn't become a superhero or fearless, he simply stopped running from his fear. He spoke louder, looked people in the eye, didn't shy away. Ernie and the guys truly respected him now. And one evening, his mom remarked, surprised, "Mike, you seem to have grown taller these past few days." And he just smiled. Because it was true. In autumn, he returned to the wishing tree, but this time, without requests. He simply stood and listened to the wind swaying the branches. He came with gratitude. "Thank you," he said softly. In response, the leaves rustled, softly, warmly. And Mike understood, the tree had only granted half his wish. The rest he had done himself, and that was where the true value lay. He turned and headed home, no longer the boy who had first come here. He had become a teenager who knew that courage was action. And that the greatest wish was to become better than he was yesterday. And deep in the forest, a barely perceptible, yet very warm, golden glow flickered. As if the tree was smiling back at him.